What's going on?
Eddie, Chaw, what's going on, man?
How are you? I got our coach Chris Conolley. He's here cornering with me with Eryk Anders. He coaches Walt Harris and Eryk Anders back in Alabama.
How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, bro. How are you?
I'm very good, thanks. I'm a little off here because I wasn't expecting to have another person in here. But if there's any
I
questions,
wasn't expecting to be here either. So
I dragged him in here with me.
Come on, Eddie, what are you doing here? But that's fine. Actually, you guys could both give me some feedback when I do ask about Eryk Anders, of course.
Yep.
Yeah, man. I mean, one of the best striking coaches out there. I appreciate you coming on, taking the time to come on my podcast, man.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. This must be a busy week for you and for the both of you, for sure.
Yeah, fight weeks are always long, especially after the quarantine protocol that most organizations are having. So in Vegas, they used to, for the UFC, we come in on Tuesday. They give us a COVID test, and then when you pass, you're able to kind of roam around on Wednesday. Thursday, you get tested again, or Friday, you get tested again, and then you're not allowed to leave. But since a lot of fights been falling off the card, they pretty much have you quarantined the whole time. So we're just hanging out in the room talking about fights and
fun stuff,
training and cryptocurrency and life.
Nice. And how's Eryk's weight cut going at the moment, if you're allowed to talk about that?
It's going well. We're on schedule, and weight cuts, I mean, it's a whole 8-week process. The last week you're just kind of going through the motions. Pretty much the last day and a half is where we really start to cut the water out. Tuesday, Wednesday, we're pretty much just burning calories, and but it's going well. I thought it was a great camp. We collabed together for this camp for against Darren Stewart, and thought it went pretty well.
Great.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Now, before I go talking more about Eryk Anders and his fight with Darren Stewart, I kind of want to get a little brief, little pinpoint on you here. So how do you get in the whole MMA striking scene?
Long story.
Let's keep it brief then.
Yeah. One of my students, Chris Anders, actually, he kind of dragged me into it. He said, "Yeah, can you start coaching me for MMA?" And I said, "I don't really know too much about ground wrestling or anything else." He goes, "No, just do what you do." So that's pretty much how I started, and then it kind of converted into Francisco Rivera. He was like my first guy into the UFC. Well, Chris Anders actually made it to the Ultimate Fighter show as well. And then from there, it just kind of took off. Opened a gym. All in MMA in Southern California. Sold it, came to Arizona, worked at the MMA lab, and now I'm at Fight Ready in Scottsdale, Arizona. That's the short version.
Of course. And I know that you were previously at MMA lab. There were some things that obviously didn't really work out there, and now you're at Fight Ready. So what was the feeling? How did you know Fight Ready was the place for you?
I didn't actually. Everything just kind of worked out. I love the lab. I love the guys there. Everybody was great. I had a big attachment to it. They're the reason. Benson Henderson is the main reason why I actually moved out there. And so things just happened. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, and I'm happy where I'm at right now. We have a great bunch of guys over here at Fight Ready, and won my first world title with them, with Henry Cejudo. So I'm super happy about that. And we're looking to get a few more this year.
Of course. And I was reading a little bit. I'm not sure if this is bullshit, but is it true that like a lot of the guys and like some of the fighters that you trained actually came to Fight Ready with you?
Yeah, some did. And a lot of guys were saying that, I kind of pulled people away and I dragged anybody. That was never my intent, nor I did. I asked maybe one or two guys, which were Henry Corrales, and he actually moved down from California with me to the lab. So, I said, "Hey, I want to finish out your career together, and I'd like you to come with me. If not, it's no big deal." I wasn't kind of forcing anybody at that point. Some guys knew I was leaving, so they asked why. I just kind of kept the reason to myself. And I said, hey, look, you guys want to come, you're more than welcome to. And Korean Zombie as well, he kind of followed me. And yeah, a bunch of guys did come. It wasn't my intent. I do feel somewhat bad about it, but those are decisions that everybody needs to make on their own.
You find like once a certain fighter has a bit of a like that rapport or attachment with a certain coach, it's kind of there's nothing personal. It's where the fighter wants to be.
Yeah, I think a lot of times it's kind of what you need. Some guys are really great wrestlers and they feel like you can always get better at wrestling, obviously, but maybe they need more striking. Some guys have a just more of a connection with one coach. They build a rapport, and they trust a coach or something like that. But I'm super honored and grateful that a lot of guys came with me. I won't forget those guys. We kind of talked about that the other day. Is loyalty is a big thing, and everything worked out.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, I know that you guys are working with Eryk Anders for this fight. So how does one improve another's striking?
It's mostly it's not one individual. We talked about this during camp actually, and he's improved quite a bit, I think. But we were in contact with Coach Chris, kind of went over a lot of stuff. We were sending him sparring rounds. We had a group chat going on. He had input. Our strength and conditioning coach, Chad Ike, had a big part to do with it. Our other coach, Santino DeFranco, had a huge part. Angel Cejudo had a huge part. Our wrestling coach. Just everybody across the board. Our owner was a huge part of this. Dave Zoline. He literally put this thing together, and we had two great sparring partners that flew out, Curtis Nylander and Ryder Newman. And so I can't really take credit. I don't think anybody really can. It was literally a team effort of what you're going to see this Saturday night with Eryk.
Mm-hmm. And now I do want to talk back with this fight, Eryk Anders and Darren Stewart. It seems like these guys are kind of fight the same kind of style. They're very, very similar in a sense, in my opinion. So what is it like? I guess what is it that you see is going to be the difference in this fight?
Coach.
All right, yeah, you can take this one. All right.
Yeah, for sure. I think Eryk's improved so much since we've been down here. He's got his mind in the right spot. His footwork is moving. He's moving really well. We've got strategy, really good game plan, a bunch of really good coaches around him. I think he's the better fighter to start off with. And now I think he's mentally, he's in the right spot. Physically, he's in the right spot. This camp kind of went perfect. So he's hitting on all cylinders right now. And I think the only issue that he's had previously is going out there and just pulling the trigger. So I think we go out there, we pull the trigger, and it's going to be over. I don't think Stewart's got anything that's necessarily overwhelming. He's got good, crisp boxing and whatnot, but I think we're a better grappler. We're a better striker. I think we've got more power. I think we've got more ways to finish the fight than Darren does. Darren kind of hangs in there, and manages to eke out, some victories when the chips are down. But I think just right now, Eryk's just firing on all cylinders, man. So I think he's going to go out there and pull the trigger, and he can win the fight in a number of different ways.
Yeah, and I think with Eryk too, he's had a lot better opponents, if that makes any sense. He's had tougher opponents. He's had more experience with experienced fighters. I mean, fought with Lyoto Machida, for God's sake.
He's never caught up to the moment. And before, playing Alabama football and all that, Eryk is never overwhelmed by the moment. You know what I mean? So if he just goes out there and executes and pulls the trigger, I think he's head and shoulders just a little. He's a better athlete all around. He's got more ways to finish the fight. People also forget the fact that he's a world champion jiu-jitsu player as well. So he can grapple, he can jits, he can submit guys, and he's got that power hanging in his back pocket all the time. Now Eddie Chow over here has got him moving around like a 155 pounder. His hand speed is much better, man. I'm really excited for the fight on Saturday, so you guys can see, how everything worked out. Everything's right on schedule. Fight Ready does stuff at another level from any other camps that I've ever visited and been to and trained around at. I think those guys really got it down pat how a camp is supposed to run. It's run very professional and scheduled, like it's a freaking business, and it's really awesome. So I'm excited to see the what happens on Saturday.
Okay. Awesome. And question for you, Eddie. So, with this, when he came to you, was this what? Excuse me. Sorry. Was it that Eryk came to you, or did you come to him? How did this all work out with the training with this camp?
I've known Eryk for quite some time. We trained together. I think it was in Denver or something for fight week. He wasn't fighting. He was there, I think, cornering somebody. I'm not sure, but we had a fighter there. So we worked together before. We kept in contact. I've known Coach Chris for quite some time as well, and I'm not exactly sure how it came together, but it did.
It's all worked out.
Yeah, it just
Right.
kind of did, and he said, "Hey, I'm going to come down. I think we're on camp or something like that." And we made our preparations and said, "Okay, let me see who we need to bring out here." Bigger guys. There's always there's never too many 85ers, 205ers walking around. So we had to go out and do some scouting, bring some sparring partners in. And at that time, it was good because Captain called and he was looking to bring Paulo Costa out for his camp. So we were already looking for sparring partners as well. And so it kind of worked out. And then Paulo wasn't able to come. And so I go, okay, well, let me just, out of the guys that I already kind of picked, let me pick 2 or 3 good ones. So, yeah, it worked out great.
Oh, that's good. That's good to hear. And I know, like, sometimes like getting sparring partners or getting someone to kind of match with fights can be kind of like a nightmare. But talking about like his size and everything. So, he's fought at light heavyweight and he went back to middleweight. Is he going down middleweight? I don't know where Darren.
He started off at middleweight, went up to light heavyweight, took a few short notice fights.
Yeah.
And now he's back down. I think middleweight's where he belongs, but he likes to fight. So he's liable. If he likes to fight, we want to keep him at middleweight, but
Well, I think this weekend really shown the difference between being a middleweight and a light heavyweight for sure. I don't know if you guys got the fights, but
we saw him.
Yeah. It definitely shows size does matter sometimes.
Yeah, 100%. And that's why there's weight classes. If you look at boxing, there are 8-pound differences. The lighter classes are 4-pound weight classes. In MMA and UFC, you see this 15-pound gap. That's literally 2 weight classes right there. And then on top of whatever they fight at, say 205, the guy's going to weigh like 230 plus, on fight day. So if you look at Izzy, he was eating a pizza, or I didn't see the weigh-ins, but I did hear he was eating a slice of pizza at weigh-ins or something. Yeah, so he's not even making 2. So, I mean, size makes a difference. That's why we have weight classes.
Yeah, guys will tell you size doesn't matter, but it does. The ladies know.
We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
You got me now?
There we go.
All right, there we go. Sorry, what I was gonna say is, and size really does matter. So Izzy needs to stay at 185, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're selective, he could definitely win some fights at 205. I mean, I think that's why after that fight, as great as Izzy is, you got to really commend the Daniel Cormier's, Conor McGregor, and Henry Cejudo, and Amanda Nunes. Those are the only 4 to ever achieve that double champ goal. I mean, if it was that easy, there'd be a lot more of those guys in 25, 30 years of the UFC's been around. It's only been happened 4 times. So you really got to tip your hat off to those guys.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I do want to kind of touch upon Drakkar Klose, if I'm saying his name right. This guy is like on the brink of hitting that top 15, if I'm not mistaken. So this guy, I mean, he comes in, he's had a pretty good run in the UFC. He's got a huge fight with Steven or Jeremy Stevens. Sorry, I fuck this guy's name up all the time. With Jeremy Stevens. So what is it that what are you currently doing to prepare for his fight with Jeremy?
Absolutely nothing. I don't train Drakkar Klose.
No, not anymore. What?
Yeah.
Damn, man.
Yeah.
I was not informed of this.
I wish the best for him. I think an exciting fight. I'm looking forward to watching it, and hopefully he cuts that edge off. I mean, Drakkar's a phenomenal athlete. He's a big 55er. The guy can kick like a mule. I think Jeremy's on a 2-3 fight went losing skid. So as long as Drakkar doesn't get cracked with that big right hand, I think Drakkar edges that fight off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the internet is so full of lies. I tell you.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I guess lastly, I just want to talk about it. I know it's a big thing. I'm sure you get asked about this all the time, guys. Is Henry Cejudo, the Triple C? Obviously he's very fond of you. You're very fond of him. So I think I read something a couple of days ago. He was calling out Aljamain Sterling. He was calling out Petr Yan. I mean, what is it? Do you think this guy's going to come back, or is he going to stay retired? What's going through this guy's mind?
I kind of have an idea, but I really don't. I only say anything that Henry's already said before.
Okay.
I don't like to assume things. I don't want to speak on his behalf. If he said he's coming back, he's coming back. If he said he's not, he's not. I'm not going to go out there and speculate anything.
Mm-hmm.
Henry's the man. I love him. Do I want him to come back? 100%. I think he has so much to show. But if he doesn't, we still see each other at the gym almost every day. We hang out. We still hit pads. We still work out. He's mentoring a lot of our younger fighters right now. So we love having him in the gym. He's helping out Henry Corrales right now for his fight, Tracy Cortez. He has so much insight and knowledge. I mean, the mental aspect is just being Olympic gold medalist. It's just unbelievable in itself. But then on top of that, to go in MMA and go in two divisions, Cejudo is the man. If anybody can learn something, that's a guy to go to. So you'll definitely get. He's also helped out for Eryk's camp a lot too.
Awesome. And it seems like he's doing a lot more motivation. He's doing a lot of turning into that coaching aspect. Like I've seen a lot of videos he's done, and besides all the cringe stuff he's done in the UFC, it's funny. It's all fun and games. But seriously talking here, I mean, a lot of the stuff he's done on Instagram, doing his motivation Mondays, I think that's what it is.
Yep.
I really value that, and it's good that he does that for all these up and coming fighters, because people want to look at him and be like, I want to be that guy. I want to be that 2 division world champ, and I think that's awesome what he's doing. Yeah,
for sure. People always ask like, what's his angle? Is he coming back? Is he doing this and this? When it comes to him doing the motivational videos or anything else, the guy really likes to help out. He wants to kind of give back a little bit. And that's what I feel. That's what I see. That's it. I mean, he's inviting over, it's not even the UFC and the Bellator guys. I know for a fact that if you look on his Instagram and some of the other guys, he's inviting over some of our amateur guys, lower level pro guys to his house, train, and he's spending the time to actually teach him and show him some of the range and distances and the stuff that he's been successful with, and so I think he just likes to give back. And then I think that's starting to burn that fire in him, saying, maybe I kind of want to come back again. But like he's always said, you show him the money and I guarantee you he'll come back. But he just thinks he's undervalued, and I think a lot of the UFC guys and champions probably do as well. So he didn't want to fight for anything less than what he thinks he deserves.
No, 100%. And I do kind of feel like kind of like in GSP's spot, of course, 2 different guys, 2 different fighters, but kind of with GSP where maybe he might stay retired, but he never really leaves the game. You see GSP, he's still training at like 39 years old. So I think whether or not he comes back or he doesn't, I think that whole fighting warrior spirit will never leave him.
Yeah, I can't. If Henry doesn't make a comeback here, I don't know what soon is, but I don't think he's going to come back at 38, 39, 40 years old. I might be wrong. You never know. But I really don't think he'll do it. If it's not soon, I don't think it'll ever happen again. So hopefully they bring him back.
And how long have you been working with Henry Cejudo?
The last camp, and a little bit before that, but not too much. But we really gelled during the Dominic Cruz camp. Well, we technically had 2 camps, because we started the camp is when he was supposed to fight Aldo. So we brought in sparring partners, put Captain Eryk and I and everybody else put together a game plan. and then they switched it to Dominic Cruz. Excuse me. And then we switched it again. Then we switched out all the sparring partners, but flew in another 3 different set of guys, and then we did that. So I felt like we had 2 camps there. It went really, really well. And then yeah, we just really kind of clicked from there.
And I know you were telling me that you only really started working with him since the Dominic Cruz camp. But looking back at his career, and I think me and other people would agree, after his Wilson Hayes fight, I mean, do you think as a spectator perspective and as a striking specialist, do you think that was kind of the turning point in his hands, like in his striking?
Well, he's worked with Coach Alan Byers. He deserves a lot of credit for a lot of the knockouts and footwork and hands that you see. He's been working with him forever. And Santino DeFranco, he put a lot of game plans together with Demetrius Johnson, the Mariah's fight, and everything else. So, I mean, I'm kind of the new coach on the block when it comes to that. Captain Eryk, obviously, been with him since he was 17 years old. And so, Eryk knows him the best. But, yeah, those 3 guys right there should be credited for who Henry is. And, of course, Dave Zoin, his mentor, our boss, he's been a huge part. I won't go down the list of what he's done. I've already broken the #1 rule not to say his name on interviews, but it's hard not to give him credit to where credit is due.
No, and that's it. I mean, like, I don't know, like, I think when people talk about these fighters and they talk about, oh, look at this guy, look at this girl, she's looking so great, and they talk a lot about the fighters, but they don't talk about behind the curtains. They don't always talk about the coaches behind them, and I think it's important because you can be talented all you want, but you're only going to get so far without your coaches.
Yeah, 100%. I did a podcast the other day with Greg Jackson, and he said it. I think he wrapped it up the best. When the fighters win, they get all the credit. When the fighters lose, we're the ones to blame. And that's literally what it is. We're just behind the scenes kind of guys, and that's why it's nice when the fighters do kind of give credit where credit is due, and they shout out the coaches. It's a good feeling, I think we just kind of get where we stand when it comes to coaches and fighters. I mean, we don't do it for credit. We don't do it for anything else. I mean, when you go through a camp, you really build a bond with the fighters, and it's something special when they achieve the goal, what we planned out to do 2-3 months ahead in advance. And then there's a downfall when you lose fights. Like they say, it's the highest of highs and it's the lowest of lows. There's no worse feeling than losing big fights, because what that means to them. You not only get paid half, but just dealing with the loss. Like, people are not able to sleep the next day. You hear the criticism on the internet. People are just messaging you all sorts of crap. And I mean, these guys feel worse than anybody ever does, and then probably the coaches, family members second. But yeah, it's definitely a tough sport. But I guess that's part of the sport that we live in. Is if you can't handle criticism, you shouldn't. If you don't have thick alligator skin, you shouldn't be in the sport.
You better be impervious to criticism.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, guys, I do have to wrap this up here. I have something going on at the moment, but I do appreciate you for coming on. I appreciate you both coming on here. I was a little unexpected, but I do appreciate it. And thanks for taking your time to come on here and talk a little bit about Eryk Anders and some of the guys that you've been training. And good luck on Saturday. Thank you, man. Always looking to support guys that are in this industry. So best of luck to you, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you so much. Take care. Yep.